mention some things tonight, and some things for you to also watch out for. Because at this particular time.
So you said that one's gonna be hard to do live, but you fuck with
Everybody around you.
Time out. You can't talk before the host.
Because there's something called the apocalypse of the heart.
Gnarly in the building, by the way.
Lot of stuff I gotta pass up. Just told my old thing we can never patch up.
Shout out to Nikki D's, but this isn't a Nikki D's episode. This is a Gnarly episode.
Yeah.
So we gotta fast forward a little bit. Yeah, this is the intro, you know.
Some people skip right to that part.
Hey yo.
I know my worth, I ain't never had to flee from it. I losing focus on broken days, I heal from it. If I hit blocks, I ain't stopping, still running. Not in a rush, I trust my day still coming. And you can't tell me nothing, I love who I'm becoming.
Oh, this is supposed to be it.
And Nick D's coming. We shining brightly, we blinded, we trying to see something. We trying to see something. Vision hitting different, yeah, change is underway. Embracing all my demons, keep the devils at bay.
Look, man, this is from a project that. Do you agree with me when I say this is your best piece?
Oh man,
I don't know if I've ever asked you that.
that's a coin toss. It's definitely one of my best. I'll definitely say it's one of my best. I'll say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let you. Yeah. I'll concur with that.
Hey, for those who don't know, this is For the Record. I'm Jake Asai, and we have my boy,
Yes, sir.
probably the person I've known the longest in this scene of music,
Yeah.
Cam Gnarly.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing beautifully, man.
Thank you for having me.
And you know what's funny is this isn't like I reached out, you know, like he's a part of season 1, and the reason season 1's not on the internet is because I dropped the ball on hardware issues, and we had some problems and struggles, so that season didn't fully come out. But we've done an episode before.
Yeah. We did.
So
When,
this is the sequel.
Nirvana.
Yeah.
Which at a time I could say I thought that was probably like my best shit. But
That's understandable back then.
yeah, at that time. But I feel like that about every time I drop something. Like it's always my latest and greatest.
Yeah.
But I feel like
That's what you're supposed to think.
Yeah,
That's what
I
you're
feel like
supposed
my music just gets better and better though over time.
Look.
But when I go back to, it still stands up. Like I had somebody came up to me at the show and was like, "I'm a real fan, bro. Like, I was just listening to like, what was it, GoPro or something like that." And he was like, "And those songs still stand up, like
Hey,
the quality." And I'm like,
and
"Gosh."
for anyone
Love
who
that.
doesn't agree with you, they can just go to your show and find out.
Yeah, it's true.
Because you're almost forced to do new stuff and old stuff.
Yeah, I have no choice. It's kind of hard. I credit one time. Every time I think about that, I think about this time Lisa J. We were doing a show at like a warehouse in San Bernardino, and this is probably like a year after GoPro dropped, or like right as GoPro dropped. And we were doing a lot of shows, and it was hard to pick a set time because I was doing, or like a set list, because I was doing stuff from like GoPro, but I had like Cabbage and the Juice and all of those other songs at that time, Uber and stuff, that I wanted to do, but people wanted to hear Levitate. People still want to hear Levitate. And it's kind of funny, the homie Twiggy Tangent was like, it's kind of crazy, how do you compete with something that strong so early in your career? And I love it though, because especially in the soundscape that we in these days, like nothing's new and nothing's old. It's only as new as the person who finds it. And
Right.
I try to actively give people opportunity to find stuff that I know is valuable, and it's all the songs.
You're on a very unique list of artists that I know personally locally, so I'm not on this list, for the record, which is hilarious because I love this list so much. But it's people who, when you go to a show where people know who you are, there is at least one song in your catalog where niggas are on the crowd like, if you don't do it, I might ask for your hands after.
Yeah.
Like, you have one of those records. Actually, you have more than one, but we'll just say you have at least one. And like, obviously you have like Cabbage, you have Levitate, you have these records that when you go, like, so this reminds me of when I went to Paid Dues. So I went to Paid Dues back in the day, the festival, and Ice Cube was the last guy to go. He was the headliner, and Ice Cube came out and he started performing his new album that was coming out.
Nobody want to hear that.
Bro, the crowd was like, look, bro, if I don't hear today was a good day in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to break shit. You know? And it's funny that we have a scene where we have artists with that dilemma, you know, like you have Levitate or The Nine, or, you know, you have these records that people are like, oh, he's performing, these songs have to be done, I don't care what your set time is.
Yeah. especially I think like that too when I have like shorter set times or something like that.
It's
or
tough.
shorter, like it really like say I only got like something quick or something, dude's doing a pop out or something like.
Yeah.
It's hard to choose which ones to do because certain songs are like a calling card. I've had people pop up on me like, man, I used to listen to Cabbage when I was in high school.
Yeah.
But for me, I look at it like all just seasons, like seasons when that was the new thing. There was a time where Levitate was my last song on the set, but then I starting with Cabbage first because it was the new thing, and then that shit took over. And then the 9 was like the last song or the first song on the set because I was still doing Levitate last or Cabbage last, and then the 9 became the one. And then there's just like a mixture, and I'm not even like someone really like I don't pop my shit like that, but I know I got joints like
of course.
I actively every time I drop I got some joints on there.
Well, look, man, me being someone who's known you pre-music, sometimes I forget the music so like I was at a gig and I think it was like you, me, Ray, there's a bunch of people I've known pre-music. So when they're like, yeah, Gnarly's got a set later, I'm like, oh, the homie got a little set, I'll watch it, and I forget like that's that nigga,
I
and you came up and you did like your greatest hits, and I was like, oh, he different,
I feel like that's why I'm not even want to really pop my shit like that as well because like the people I spend time with is often people who really ground me, or people like yourself, or like Ray, especially like Ray. We got so much new music coming, and we work so closely together that like the people I'm around is really the homies. So it's like, oh, we going to a show, type thing. But when we're there in that experience of like, it's different. Like I feel like I do become like a different energy like when I'm performing.
Absolutely.
And that's something I'm really I'm very comfortable behind the microphone, very comfortable in my writing space. I'm just as comfortable on the stage, and I feel like that's how I get so many new fans as well. Like just from just being in front of them and them connecting with the music, and I don't have a disconnect from my music either. Like I may be personally tired of something or something, but you never know because I love that shit. Like I perform it like it's brand new,
right?
And that's the point. Like I'm always pushed my favorites.
Well, talk to me about, so I have this this ongoing pattern of things I like to talk about with people, and some of it is the science of your music and some of it's the art of your music. And when I listen to your music, the science part is a little bit ambiguous. So what I mean by that is you don't sound formulaic, but you also sound like there's a formula.
Yeah.
So like you have a consistent tone I hear in most of your records. Like, for example, like Eminem's first 2 or 3 albums, he had like a tone where you just go, that's the Eminem voice. You have the Gnarly voice where if like I wanted to parody you, I know exactly what I'd have to accomplish to sound like you.
Hey, some shit like
exactly.
Like
and you have those things where I go like, okay, is he purposely in that pocket, or is that just what he does by nature when he's on a microphone? When you write, are you thinking about that, or where's your head at when you make music? How do you categorize yourself?
My overall, that's a lot of good questions too. But how do you categorize yourself? But it's like my overall mindset in making my music is that I want to come off that way. Yeah, I want it to sound like, damn, this nigga doing it like water drips. But there's a lot on a microscopic level that goes into that, so absolutely. I feel like I try to definitely walk a fine line of like, I care, but I want it to be so nonchalant that's
tricky because for you to, it takes extra effort to sound like there's no effort.
Yeah, I know that,
and that's hilarious.
I've driven myself crazy about that sometimes, but also sometimes, and not popping shit, but sometimes it is just nonchalant. Sometimes it is just me being just purely myself because I've been making music so long, because I perform so often, because I look at my voice like an instrument. I use it like an instrument, and I'm sure like Miles Davis had keys that he was more comfortable in playing, but that don't mean that he ain't, technically skilled if he need to go there. But sometimes he may not even need to go there, like where he is, and being present in himself and using his voice that he's crafted over time. Like I feel like I've done that like intentionally and not intentionally sometimes, just in the exercise of the process of the craft of finding what my sound is, and sometimes stumbling on it and like, oh shit, I can do this, or like being really like proactive with it, like, oh, I'm about to try something new, or sometimes like that joint I play for you, like I'm not trying to do anything new, like or I'm not trying to do anything intentional. Sometimes I'm not even writing it. It's just what's coming out, and I try to work in those spaces too. Like those are the different processes and mechanics of like how am I gonna make this song, and I can break that into like, is it gonna be something like hook, bridge, hook, verse, or you know what I'm saying, or like hook, verse, bridge, hook, or verse, bridge, hook. And then that's one way. Or the other way of just like, how am I gonna write this song? Like melody first, like what's it gonna sound like?
That's where the things get ambiguous, because there's a science, and you're going, what if we play with the science? Is that art?
But sometimes I'm not sure. Yeah, sometimes I'm not actively thinking like that. It's just being in a state of play, like that I'm actively, freely doing it, and once whatever process catches on, that's the path that we're going on this particular song. Sometimes it's like, oh, I found the perfect beat for this verse I wrote, or other times it's like, damn, I wrote the perfect verse to this particular beat, or other times, damn, I didn't even write that shit. Like I just heard that beat, and everything I said was honest and pure and poignant enough to be like, oh damn, this is one of those beat, like a cut,
Now, me being someone who also writes music, sometimes in your music, I hear thought. I hear that you're like, okay, this needs to be polished and well made. And then other times I hear it and I go, this feels so vibey. I didn't listen to what he said the whole song the first time I played it, And so I'm curious. So for me, there's multiple artists. So like with a Frank Ocean, for me, obviously I know Frank Ocean's a passionate writer.
Which is a personal favorite of mine too.
Yeah, but he's one of those artists where he has records where I can't tell you what it was about after I played it 10 times. Yeah. And then one day I actually listened because I was enjoying just the sonics so much. I wasn't invested in the words yet. It took me time to finally get over the sonics.
That sounds like how I equate listening to music as a kid. Like, I don't even like, as a child, you listen to songs in the backseat of the car and you singing every word, but you're not thinking about what it is that you're singing. Right. You're not thinking about what the message is or what it is that you're downloading. So I try to be intentional in that way about like finding stuff that sonically is gonna grab you, and then putting a vocal range on it that's just gonna grab you, so that it doesn't matter what I say.
Exactly.
And then when you go back and listen to it, like, what is this thing saying? Then you're like, oh shit, like he was.
It gets more replay value.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's elements to it that I feel like I was more mindful of when I first started, but now it's kind of like second nature.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's my approach. That's my field. That's my perspective, you know what I mean? And I feel like I put a lot of that into the music, and a lot of that is just where I am personally, and I take time in my artistic journey and my spiritual journey as a man, just like putting that into the music and trying to be as mindful as possible, but not trying to be perfect, but trying to be as honest as possible, but not trying to overshare, and like just try to put whatever I'm learning about myself into the music. I try to be emotionally intelligent. I'm just trying to help, music helps me. It helps me get through the hardest times, the most emotional times, and I don't know where I would be without it. So for me, it's like, that's how I pay it back. It's just putting it all into the songs in some kind of way, telling these stories, telling the stories of my homies, telling my stories and the things that I've seen, or just my perspective on stuff. I like to write in an abstract way though too, so that when people do listen to it, it's not always so straightforward. There's a lot of nuance and layers. Yeah, and that's something that I really pride myself on too. Is just like, that's just my approach. Like when I first started writing, I was into like poetry and stuff like that, early like Langston Hughes and Edgar Allan Poe and stuff like that as a kid. Like that, those were my favorite things. So when I write, even before I was writing, like I think in that way, in an abstract or poetic way. Like that's just my bag.
Let's play something in that bag.
Go on. Oh yeah, this is one of those. Hey, yeah. I can.
Shout out to Ray.
Shout out Ray.
How you doing?
I can and I won't. I can hide my eyes to be low with you. With you.
This takes me back to early Cam, by the way.
Yeah.
It's funny how that everything comes full circle.
Yeah. This does sound like GoPro Cam.
What's cool in my intro, my exit? Heavyweight on my worth, I got leverage. Brain working through blocks, that's Tetris. I don't take a day off, that's Ferris. When I'm not stacking, I'm embarrassed. When I'm not balanced, I heal silent. Tapped in her power, I got guidance. Tighten up and reach new horizons. Manifest with your motherfucking chest. Stop praying like a punk. When God throw the lob, you gon' lay up or you funk. When you're thinking small, then you're already shrunk. Grow up, nigga. Gotta see the bigger picture, panorama vision. Everything in golden glisten ain't for the mission. No, hey, be gentle with yourself for the feels. Yeah, especially you out in the field. Gotta deal with the pain for the hills. Yeah.
Shout out Speak Geeks. Shout out A-Brook on the mix of this one.
Speaks Geeks on this?
Speak Geeks produced this.
Shout out to Speaks, episode 2.
And then shout out Ray. Those guitar riffs, that's her.
Me and Ray have a long musical history that goes deep. So
I know. She was around original OE. I remember.
Yeah, she's been around.
Yeah, me and her in the last couple of years too. Ever since she came back from New York, we have a lot of music together. This was one of our first collaborations, but we got 2 or 3 on the new singles that will be coming out. I thought about giving you that one too. I don't know. Trying to keep something secret.
Keep something in
the
touch.
breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding.
I mean, this isn't a Ray podcast, but you put her in the perfect pocket for that. Like that was perfect. You could tell that you guys were in tune and you knew what to do with her. That's
something I pride myself on, and I've had people tell me that too about like the features that I have. I feel like I really always get the best of people. Like
You hear what they do, you know where to put them. That's an organizational, that's an analytical.
One of my favorites is like I probably had the most features on 333 Healers Club or 333 AC, and like the features from Waju and Rich and from Airplane James and Triz, even from Brooke on there is that writing those songs were so easy, such a pure setting, and it always comes out really well. Like when I do features with people, otherwise I wouldn't even put them out. Like because I am such a I don't want to say I'm a perfectionist, but I do give a fuck a lot. And if it ain't good, I just will never put it out. I don't care.
Yeah.
So none. I've never like had to offend anybody in that way, but again, I feel like there's a caliber that people try to meet me at, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, and there's just a certain level of respect that comes with when you ask someone to be a part of something. You'd like to assume they're going to give you their best.
Yeah.
I think that's part of rap culture's... One of the best things about rap culture is when someone says, yo, can you hop on my song? It's almost automatic in us now to at least put our best foot forward and bring that song to life and do the best we can to execute. There's some artists that we go as far as calling them feature artists. Because they go more crazy when they have to focus.
Yeah.
On that 16 or that hook or whatever they do for people.
Yeah.
I'm going to flip the script a little bit and talk about our relationship.
Sure.
Because we go back, man.
Yeah.
I've known you.
Talk about some real shit.
I've known you since. It might be early 2000s. It might be
probably early 2000s. That's the time that I because I've been back and forth between LA and IE as a kid. My parents
come a little closer to the mic.
My bad. My pops from Venice and my mother's from Chicago, but she moved out to Fairfax. So I was born in LA and spent a lot of time before we got our settled in the IE. Bouncing back and forth between like San Bernardino, Fontana, and like Crenshaw, Compton, in that area. And I went to school in Fontana. I went to Performing Arts Elementary School in Fontana called Rupert Hills Elementary. And back then I was singing in choir and I was playing instruments and I'm alright on the piano. I can catch a tune and I'm from my days of learning stuff at that age. But then after that I went to school in San Bernardino and that was the year 2000. So I probably was in Fontana from like 94 to 99.
Oh wow, I didn't know.
And then
that.
I went to Palm Elementary for 1 year, and that's when I was
Let's
17.
go.
So I went to Palm, and that's where I met everybody I know. Everybody I know, and then from there, Palm and Shannon Hills too. Like that's where I met everybody I know. And then after that was high school and just Dino shit.
You were always 1 year ahead of me, so I knew I saw you at Palm, and I saw you at Shannon, and I saw you in high school, and. We weren't super close. We would just know each other in passing because your younger brother was closer to he was my grade.
Yeah, I'm a big proprietor of the black guy head nod though, so I know every time we saw each other, it was always
it was always a salute.
always that what's up. Like that's just how I am. Like that's, you know, I wrote a paper about that in college too, about like just like these subtle like things within our culture that only black people do amongst each other, and that's one of them things. Like when you see an older black person, you bow a little bit. You see a younger black person, like what's up, you know. But that's was our relationship too. Like, you know, growing up. The people I would see, especially North End babies like us, like we would be in everything, from sports to events and shit like that. We would see everybody everywhere. You can't go to Walmart without seeing people. Couldn't go to Cinema Star without seeing people. You know, or the Orange Show or something like that. So, you know, we really grew up together. Like, you know, from all our mutuals and my little brother and your cousins, and like those are like my cousins. Like
exactly. And all that led to, it's funny because me and you both found the path of music around the same time, but we never connected musically. So I remember the first time I saw your name was the Hi-Hats.
Yeah, that's how I started.
And I was like, what was that? What was the Hi-Hats?
The Hi-Hats was a group. That's how I first got into music. My cousin, shout out to my cousin Kevin. He does my Rap Habits podcast with me, and I remember back then I was just freestyling all the time. Like I just love rap. Like my favorite rapper was Lil Wayne, and I just loved to freestyle back then. I thought it was so cool to be able to like come up with shit off the top of your head and not write. You know, I love Biggie, I love Jay-Z, and I love Lil Wayne, so I didn't want to write. And I remember him calling me. I was about to go to the mall with a girl or something. He was like, "Hey, bro, I just met this guy named INF, and he has a studio over here off of Hospitality. Come over here." And I'm like, all right, cool. And I went over there. I probably got there like 6 o'clock. And I remember him like hyping me up. He's like, you rap better than every nigga in here. Da, da, da. And I went in there, and it was just like a bunch of like guys who were like a little older than me, and a couple homegirls too that went to Cal State with me. And you know who else was there? Adriana George, shout out Dro. Dro was there too. Okay. R.I.P. And I remember going to that studio. It was called SoCal Studios, and they let me record for the first time. That was the first time I ever got to record. But before then, I was on my way to that. Like I remember going to like the homie Aaron Henderson's house. I don't know if you know Aaron Henderson. He has a music imprint called like A grade or something like that.
Sure. I don't think I know.
But he went to Cajon too, and I remember going to his house like around the corner from Cajon and like rapping in his closet when he was just getting his stuff together, or like rapping with my homie Chris Honore, and us like trying to come up with like freestyling, you know, just like back when I used to hang out with like Kirk Sunstrom and all of them back in the day, and we would just be freestyling, you know, like those are some of like my best friends, and we would just be freestyling. But once I really started to pursue music and go that way, after meeting INF, and then later I met the homegirl Patty Stone, we formed a group because the SoCal Studios closed like probably like 3 months after the first time I went there, and I was interning there. Like all I did was just like check people in for their sessions and like vacuum the floor, and like that's all I did. So when the studio closed, INF took everything to his apartments that he had in the Meadowbrooks off of 2nd Street. Okay. So that's where I first started recording music at. I was off of 2nd Street in the Meadowbrooks, probably like the most hoodest area that you could be at.
That's still not a great place.
To this day, you know, like, and I remember going there when I was probably like, I think I was a freshman in college at that time, and going over there making music. And how I even ended up in the scene is that the music that we were making as the Hi-Hats, so many people around us who would come to the studio, at the studio now at his house, who used to be at the studio before, would like hype us up, and it was mostly homegirls who was like, yo, this shit is fire. So we had this group. It was I was Kid Cam at that time. I didn't have a name. I just called me Kid Cam because I was the youngest person around. Everybody there was older than me. And then it was the homegirl Patty Stone, who went to Cal State at the time. She was an English major, but she was into like Madonna and like Daft Punk and stuff like that. And I had to teach her how to rap. And then the homie INF, who was like our engineer and everything, and he had worked with like Busy Bone and had toured with like Bone Thugs and Harmony and stuff like that. So he had connections, and we had put out a project, like our first project called like Geeked, because back then we called ourselves the Hi-Hats because we was really off a lot. Like we would do a lot. I remember back then, like I remember that's how I ended up at the Vibe, is because we were making music, and the homegirl came to the studio, Mary Lou, and she was like, hey, I heard about this thing where they throwing this show at this bar in Riverside, like we should go. So we were all faded and we went. That was the first time I rapped on stage. So it was kind of like a progression of stuff. Like the hi-hats kind of was like my training ground in everything that I was into, because I was into rap. So they put me in front of a microphone and I started making music, and I really wasn't thinking about it that much. Like I was just having fun, and it went well. I mean, we had this song called OMG. It got played on 991. And that shit went up, and that was like my first taste of like, oh damn, like people, there's a scene out here, you know?
Yeah.
So then we started doing stuff at the Vibe, and that was like the beginning of stuff. And I ended up knowing Noah too, because he went to Cajon. So he remember.
I didn't
seeing
know him
me
from Cajon.
I've known Noah kind of like how I know you from like Cajon. So he remember seeing me like, damn, you used to stand on the wall at Cajon. He was a senior when I was a sophomore.
Oh, that's why. So that's I was a freshman when he was a senior.
Yeah. So we were close at like that, like because I knew his brother. His brother played on the football team. So his brother was the lineman. I was I was left side tackle. He was right side tackle. So we was always cool. And then when I found out that was his brother, that just made us even closer, you know, kind of like more Dino shit. And you know, the hi-hats would do shows with like early like Speaks and Cassius, not even Cassius back then, it was Fail before Cassius came out and the early UTB stuff. And that's how we started. Like the biggest thing hi-hats did, we opened up for Drake on the So Far Gone tour at the Fox Theater in downtown San Bernardino, and it was Audio Push, the hi-hats, and another group called Thursday Night Out that had Siotis was the drummer. Yeah, and that's how him and I have always been cool too. And then he was cousins with Captain, and Captain was one of the producers for the early hi-hat stuff too. So that's how we linked up there too. So me and Captain go back like that too. And we had a team back then, like Cornbread.
People don't know that Drake performed in San Bernardino on his early tour.
He did.
People don't know that.
And it was us who
and my dumbass, I'm the only one who wasn't there.
I was there. Shout out my nigga. Oh gosh, we always talk about that. Like, bro, we been active in this, but yeah, that's how that started. So yeah, shout out to the hi-hats. We did some cool stuff, and I was really young back then. Like, yeah, we were doing shows at like, because the scene was coming together when we were doing that. So we would do LA shows and shit. I remember doing a Sean Healy event.
We all
and it was the Cool Kids, Pac Div, and the hi-hats. Now for me, I was a big fan of both of those people. But my home, Patty Stone and INF, they're like, I don't care about that, because I'm younger than them at the time. Like, nigga, who cares? Like, go ahead, enjoy. But for me, that was like my childhood. Like, not my childhood, but like my adolescence
they were running shit.
Especially when I first time I heard like a little bit of Golden Pager and Church League Champions and all that stuff. Like Pac Div and Cool Kids are like two of my favorites at that time. So to be able to take what I was doing in the Meadowbrooks out of the Dino and be able to go to the Key Club and the House of Blues and Knitting Factory and perform at all these places, and I'm only like 19, 20, like that was dope. And that kind of was the early framework for what I ended up doing. And we I think we were a group from like 2000 and I want to say 2008 to about 2010.
That sounds
and then I remember
right.
taking some time off of music when that group was about over with. And then I ended up linking up with my homies out in Rialto and Bloomington, and that's how I linked up with like DC and Aaron Mays and Hyman the Jedi and Supreme, and that's how we ended up making the Airborne music. That was like first imprint of music that I ever had. It was like Airborne, and then we did the Crilly Fam thing for a little while, and that was all the same thing. Like, and another thing was just like growing and changing and being around people who are all passionate about the same things, and and then we did that, and that shit was cracking. Me and DC would drop like fire music together. And I remember the first project I put out after that was, I think it was Cammy's World was the first mixtape I put out after all of that, and it's been Cam Gnarly ever since. Like,
and there's growing pains with all those stories, obviously there's highs, but there's lows.
Oh man, I mean it's the beginning for a reason, so for me, I look back at it, I can talk about it now, but back then that shit was like turmoil. It was heavy and difficult, and especially because the energy that we have out here now, I know that we started that. Like, and I don't mean the hi-hats. I mean like people like-minded, like me, like Noah, like oh gosh, and all of a captain, and all of us like kind of coming together and starting to form. That was the really beginnings of the community that I can look back now and I'm like, y'all known these guys for 11 years, you know what I'm saying? And there's a trust there in that, and I feel like that was the trust. That's something that was built over time because it wasn't like that back then. And I know you remember when it wasn't like that. It was not all love for everybody. Right. And I come from that. I come from San Bernardino, where it's not all love for everybody, and then I got into the music scene that just reiterated how it's not all love for everybody. Yeah. And you know, a lot of us were like rivals, enemies. You know what I'm saying? Like not friends. Yeah. Talking down on, you know, people talking down on each other and all of that kind of stuff. So it took time to form the kind of stuff that we have these days. But that was the early part. So yeah, when you say like a lot of that was like downs and tough. Like yeah, like I was a freshman in college, dropping out of college to do music. Still trying to avoid like just street shit because you don't got money, so you doing other stuff to stay afloat, right? And because none of that music stuff is free, at all. And then outside of that, you know, just other stuff. I was a adventurous person, so those other things that was like having me go this way and meet these different type of people. I've always been somebody who's walked a thin line, so yeah. For me, it's always interesting when people like look at me these days and they're like, "Oh man, aren't you like this zenful guy?" And like, not that I'm not that too, but like y'all ain't got no clue. Look,
you came from the jungle, you know, so
like, it's kind of crazy. But it's cool. Like when the homegirl is like, "You don't look like a fighter," you know. So hearing that you fought him, that sounds funny because I know he could be antagonistic, but in my mind, I'm like, no, I'm really with that though. Like, but it's different, you know. It's a lot of growth, but when I reflect on that shit, like the hi-hats and all of that stuff is like, that was like my college, you know. That was the school that I went to that taught me how I wanted to walk this musical path, and it took a lot of time from the hi-hat stuff to the Crilly Fam stuff, right, to the doing the vibe stuff, and just or like building that bridge between IE and LA the way we was doing too.
So I'm gonna play a joint here, and this is actually my joint.
Oh, is it that one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But this, the story you just told, kind of is the reason the song can exist. And this song is called "Only 9," and it's got people from the furthest east side all the way to the furthest west side of the 9, the IE in general, and it's just one of those things where I felt like it's our first record together, and it just makes perfect sense that it is, you know, although it is a posse cut. Yeah. So I'll play that, and
I like this song.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming soon. It's coming on my next solo album, so.
If you're really from the 9, you should say something. You really gotta grind if you came from it. Yeah, we on a different time, never ate nothing. It's really only 9 like a fake thought. People really thought we had a Drake budget, paid for the place that I paved, never prayed for. Graves dug on brothers really passed from this place, make you hate, but I really gotta breathe and take a break from it. Cuffed a bottle and drank one for the fallen. We came up from the bottom, they fade running the waterman, dog. My pot to piss and switch and I'm moving different. I've shifted all of my capital after I got my confidence to really do what was needed without a consequence and get my pockets thick. I was on Arden Avenue and passed a tree up, meaning with PhDs. It was me and speech in the streets, now we gone like gallerias. It's a 9, yeah.
Fork in the road, decisions to make. Some of them embrace the linear take.
Young Threat.
Connect enough dots, mend enough plots.
And this record has me, Phantom Threat, Cam Archer, Nikki D's, Cam Gnarly, Waju. And I thought about making it even longer and adding more people. And I was like, I'll save that for maybe a different version of this type of record. But it was just a beautiful thing that I hadn't made a record with Phantom, don't have a record with Waju, don't have a record with you, and me and Nikki D's don't have a record that's out together. So this was just a beautiful moment for us to all come together and show what we can all do. And I love that your verse is the one where you're like, look, Kasai and me go back, y'all. Like, all y'all on this song, but like, we go back there, you know? So I try
to keep that in the music, man.
Yeah. I'm a big fan
never
of
wanna lose
people
myself.
who exactly.
Fake thumb.
The 9 stay on my mind, and through the most trying times I came out just fine. North nigga till I died, tatted on my spine. Me and Kasaga way back, got your back every time. Surrounded by blessings in abundance, and it's hard to keep track. Keep reminiscing on the days we ain't have it like that. On the move, found my pace when I found my own path. Survived stains in my lane, so I'll never look back. And I think a lot of shit that I know I can't say, cause where I'm from you live longer, staying out of the way. Owe a debt to the Dino that I gotta repay. Carry the weight of my city on my back every day.
Remember where I came from? Yeah, I'm still the
about that
same one.
Man, and there's something special about like when you say what you just said, not even remembering that verse, and then you're like, I don't be lying when I talk to people. Like,
I
like
don't.
your verse is really what the story you just told is in your verse.
I've got to a point in my my approach to rap, wanting to be a rapper, to stop giving so much of a fuck about being the best rapper.
Yeah,
and just
it's
trying to
important.
be as honest as I can be in rap.
Man,
and I feel like that's what makes the difference. Like I never call myself the best rapper, but I am one of the greatest thinkers. And I do understand my mind. And I feel like that, being able to say that, not everybody can say that, because even the best rapper don't understand their mind. Even the best rapper doesn't understand how to articulate their thoughts and their opinions and their emotions, or recant on things that you felt at a time,
right?
And say it so that I could hear it today and be like, yeah, that's facts. Don't even remember saying that, but not a lie told. And that's how I try to approach music every time. Like, absolutely. I try to be a very, like, I feel like I've said this in other stuff in my early music of like, I'm more person than a persona. I'm not a persona. I don't have a persona. It even bothered me when like I started to see like my mentality be looked at like it was a gimmick, and that's what made me go against it. That's what made me be like my next project after like the Posse Prevails, because I feel like that was a mindset that people could grab onto from the 9. That'd be like, yo, keep a positive mindset. This is how you do that. You know, so that we can overcome the things that we see and we don't succumb to the negativity or just thrive off negativity only. I feel like Dino people, we grew up. The most exciting thing in the day was niggas fought. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
I remember those days.
So for me, it's like, you know, you can't only thrive off negativity. You have to understand that it's all the choice of positivity.
Absolutely.
And that's not negating or separating yourself from the negative, because sometimes you just can't. But it's about how you process that. And I feel like I put that into the music, especially in like GoPro and Positive Prevails. But then I started to see this thing. I started to feel like people started to I never wanted to become a parody of myself, and I started to notice that people not necessarily like, I don't want to say they was taking the sauce or whatever, but I saw the idea. It's kind of like when you're a teacher, or I'm a teacher, so it's like when you're trying to teach a lesson to a kid and they get it, but they don't get it the right way. Like, you're getting the answer, but you're skipping the steps. And that's what I started to dislike, where I was seeing my impact, but I wasn't liking watching people skip the steps. And when they skip the steps, it comes out corny, starts sounding kind of corny. So that's what made me be like, all right, let me go dark then. That's what made me go a lot darker on Nirvana, because it's like, y'all not understanding, like, this ain't just like something I'm saying. Right. Like, I'm not saying this for the sake of saying.
You showed them the end of your journey, but they didn't understand everything that it takes to get there.
Yeah, so it wasn't just waking up and like putting plus signs on shit and posy this, posy that. After a while, I kind of got to be like, okay, like, I'm not that I wasn't liking it, because I like to see the notion come across and people grasp it, but the lesson doesn't stop there for me. So it's like, again, because I'm putting so much of myself into it, so much of my mentality is the things that keep me going into it, it's only right that I expand upon those things in the music. So it's like, I've said this to other homies, I look at that shit like a Christopher Nolan film, where like you had to watch Inception to understand like relativity, and then you watch Interstellar and they further expand relativity, not within your mind, but on another planet. Exactly. And then it's like, okay, now that you understand that from those two movies, let me give you Tenet, and you can understand relativity on, like, you know, flip the concept of time travel into like, you're not traveling through time in a linear way, you're just inverted, so forward is backwards for you. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way I try to look at my music, where it's like, okay, first I introduce myself with like Cam Meets World, right? Then I introduced the gang after that with like the Crilly Fam album, what I was doing in that space. Then I introduced my my next mentality, which was like go pro. I want to go professional. I want to provide, produce, and become, you know, self-actualization. And then after that, I was like, how do you do that? I want to talk about like maintaining a positive mindset because this shit is wicked. But then after that, it's like, oh, but it's not all sweet. Like, let's talk about Nirvana, which
step by step.
Nirvana being a space of just like tranquility, where it's like no good nor bad, no want, no need. It's just peace. But a lot of that is still succumbing to loss. So I feel like I talk a lot about death and loss, and I lost a lot of people in the process of making that project.
Yeah.
And even before that too, like cultivating that same kind of light and energy when me and Noah did Gnarly Orca. Like a lot of that was that same kind of talk of just like dealing with loss and kind of popping your shit a little bit too. And I just feel like that's the mentalities. Like you asked me how would I categorize myself, like I try to put my mentality wherever I'm at into the music at the time, and not necessarily making a song like something so clear about like I feel good, let me make a song about feeling good. But I try to layer it in nuances that people can take something from it as a whole and individually per song, you know.
Yeah. So I'm gonna play something newer. This is unreleased.
Oh, which one are you gonna play? You can pick. It's up to you.
I'm gonna play the one I haven't heard yet.
Oh, you play that one? Yeah.
And this is a rough, right? This is a rough cut. So yeah, we'll play this rough cut, and we'll talk about it a little bit. I'm gonna react in the moment.
I'm with that. Shout out to this is produced by Ascend Beats. Yes, definitely. You turn it up a little bit too, kind of like this one.
It'll be loud on the official. Yeah.
North and Gnarly shit.
This beat is hard.
Yeah, got off on it.
Actively work to unlearn, full of the healthy discern. Two papers slow up the burn. Pass up, I put in the urn. Brand new life that I had earned. Back in this bitch, never left. Slipped through the cracks that was left. Over the odds that was stacked. Matrix, I tapped in and hacked. Notice it's more than just black. Gifted in ghetto, need plaques. This is a shining example. You should come get you a sample. You can run up and get trampled. Don't put your eggs in that basket. I'll make you scramble your tactics. Time is we often make classics. Yeah. With same shit I'm stressed with, putting in this effort until I feel rested, knowing that I'm gifted, I ain't gotta press shit, seeing better days when we had some darker lips.
So this is totally off topic here.
Yeah.
But so the first thing I hear when I hear this is I know this sample. This sample's from a Little Brother record, and I was like, okay, boom, that's by me. Then you came in like a na 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 na. You came in a pocket, and I went, okay, Cam, this is what I know you for. You find pockets, you stick to them.
Yeah.
And then you said, stop.
Yeah.
I'm about to do this other pocket.
Yeah.
Abruptly, and I still haven't like. I was trying to listen to what you were saying purposely, but there's so many other things that I want to put on my palette and enjoy that I haven't fully taken in the record yet. So this is dope. This is dope.
Thank you. Thanks.
This is cool.
Same shit I'm blessed with, same shit I'm stressed with.
You talking about the music?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is my point of view on this song.
Drawing out the lines, seeing through the signals and the signs. Really travel for these wins. More than local, we not twins. Went through hell to clean my sins. I know karma comes in spins. Feel different, got thicker skin. Stay authentic through the thick and thins. I got a greater grasp, hoping that this feeling lasts. I know that change is inevitable. It won't miss your ass. Hardship that a nigga passed.
First of all, I don't believe artists when they say they have thick skin. I don't believe artists.
I feel like I do sometimes. Not to say I'm not sensitive to things, I am.
Yeah.
But I also know what emotions I've nullified in the process. What things that I've become very dismissive to. And I feel like that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm built different in this place. Like, I'm not new to this or anything like that. And that's why I can say, like, the same shit I'm blessed with is the shit that I'm stressed with.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I put in this effort until I feel... Actually, I'm going to change it. I'm going to give that to people. Like, it's going to change. Because that hook is going to be different. But the hook is same shit I'm blessed with, same shit I'm stressed with, putting in all this effort and still I feel restless. And for me, like the next part is like knowing that I'm gifted, so I don't gotta press shit. But that's only because we've seen darker days. So like, and now we're having better living. But it's still the same shit. Like having better or being good or being positive or feeling happy or whatever is just as good as knowing that the feelings, the other side of the coin will flip. And it's like, for me, like I was talking to Waju about the same thing. It's like, you know, I love what music has done for me. Like I don't hate it. Like I don't have like this indifference to it either. Yeah. But it is something that I stress myself out about. That I fucking overthink. And Absolutely. You know what I'm saying. And I feel like we all go through that. You know what I'm saying. Absolutely. So that's what this one is about. And I feel like it's a logical next step or a logical space to take time to acknowledge, especially after having a project about healing or having a project about loss or having a project about love. It really is important to me to make a song like that and hear myself still make sure that I'm speaking honestly to how I feel about this shit, not being afraid to be like, yeah, I love this shit, but it's very stressful. Yeah. And it's bothersome. But also finding a good way sonically that people can hear that, and it comes with pockets and it comes with flows and in that kind of way, but it's still very honest to like how I'm feeling at this point in it. And I'm not mad about that. I'm just, you know, I'm just speaking the truth like that sometimes.
So that's kind of where I kind of want to call your bluff, because so there's any artist who's truly passionate about their works and cares, there's emotion there, you know, no matter how logical you are, no matter how thick your skin is, there's I put everything in this and I'll be damned if you tell me about it when you haven't put that time in. That's one side, right? Yeah. So that's the side that you're not accounting for, in my opinion. It's just an opinion. And it's the like, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this a while. I would consider you a professional artist, you know? You've done the tours, you've done the shows, you've put the hours in, you're a pro. Yeah. So someone can't just walk up to you and be like,
yeah, but that's it.
But on the flip side,
people do.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing that I mean was like, I'm built different, got thicker skin. And
that's what I'm about to get to. Well, yeah, you have thick skin because you're also going, look, whether they're positive or negative, I've been doing this long enough to know what the truth is. And so what they're saying is not actually important.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so there's two sides to it. And I think that because of the way your mind works, you go, look, I'm going to listen to your thoughts. I'm going to take them in. And I'll try to find the value in the thought. Yeah. And then if it makes sense, I'll keep it. If it doesn't, I'll move on.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I mean in having thicker skin. I don't mean that in the sense of like nothing gets through. Yeah. But it's all about the process. About knowing how to, like the first line, actively work to unlearn, full of the healthy discern. So it's like, I've learned to not take everything that people give me, be it praise or be it, you know, saying like, oh, this sucks or whatever, positive or negative. It's like, it doesn't matter, like, because for me, the same shit I'm blessed with is the same stress. I'm not as good as people think I am, and I'm also not as bad as motherfuckers could have told me at a time, like, oh, this is, you know, like, I would have did something like this, and I'm like, you know, I don't care about none of that.
That's what I love about you in general, man, is like, they can listen to your music. And if some backpack super Royce the 5'9" guy goes to your show and goes, he's not saying this, and that.
I had those.
Yeah, you know, they'll say that, and then they got to stand in the crowd with everyone yelling your lyrics.
Yep.
You know?
And I feel like I got those if you really want to care to find them. But it's like, if you can see an artist connecting with people around you.
That's all that matters.
And then they be like, yeah, but where the bars at, or that kind of thing. It's like, bro, you're missing them. Yeah, you're missing them right now.
Because this is why hip hop's so funny. Yeah, because you can go to the LACMA, you know, or the Museum of Modern Art. You can go to the Broad, wherever. Nobody's looking at that art on the wall and going, yeah, but he didn't use a pencil when he made this. Yeah, or you know, they're not picking apart what it's missing compared to the art on the other aisle. Yeah. Everyone openly comes up to it and interprets it for what it's meant to do, which is mean something to someone. So it's funny to me that in hip hop specifically, people will watch your show, hear people support you, know that you're putting your heart in it, and they'll try to find the thing that you're not doing. Yeah. And I find that so funny.
I call those people fans too, though. Like,
for sure they are. They're invested.
For those that are watching, there's a camera right here.
Yeah.
For those that are watching, I know, I see you. I know you don't like me. You don't talk to me. You used to talk all the time. Don't talk no more. Mm-hmm. But you are right there every day, watching every story, every single time. And I appreciate that because I know on some level, whether you're waiting for me to drop the ball and fumble, or we're waiting for me to come up so you can say, "Oh, I'm proud of you, bro." Just know that I know that both of those outcomes are coming, and I don't care about either one.
Right.
Because the same shit I'm blessed with is the same shit I'm stressed with.
That's why
don't matter.
This record is special.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward to dropping these too.
I was gonna say, I hope that when this record comes out, that people are able to come back to this conversation, because this conversation is going to bring this song to life for some people. Yeah. Because not everyone's going to have the ear for it.
Most with a crash, waves of tears, turn to cash, real one in my autograph. Yeah, the face card. My name is my name.
I play the faith card.
My name is my name. Same shit I'm blessed with, same shit I'm stressed with. Putting in this effort until I feel rested. Knowing that I'm gifted, I ain't gotta press shit. Seeing better days when we had some darker living. Same shit I'm blessed with, same shit I'm stressed with.
That's crazy that this beat is so crazy to me. That adds a layer that I don't think. So like, have you ever made a song and someone heard something in it that you didn't even plan to put in it?
Yeah.
I feel like this beat adds a layer that you didn't even realize was there.
Yeah, I played it on my live a couple weeks ago. Somebody was like, "Oh man, I love when people go on this sample." And then their response after that was like, "Damn, I didn't think that's what you were gonna do on something like this."
Yeah.
So that's the nature of hip hop though too.
Yeah, and
because you never know where the beat is resonating with. You know, you may be flipping some Phil Collins or something like that, and you'll find a whole nature of fans of people who are like, "Oh, that's my shit." Like so for me, and I'm just in the space too. I'm just working with new producers and getting into another phase of this music, and I feel like I'm professional or more professional than I was when I made GoPro. You know, with that mentality. But if I was to do a GoPro 2, I'd probably be approaching it from the standpoint of like, okay, so you got the job, you know, like you're doing the thing. Yeah. They're booking you for the shows, and your rhetoric is self-evident at this point, and people fuck with it. How do you feel? And a song like that will probably be in that mentality of like, this is how it feels. Or, I feel like I try to put a lot of that into the music. It's just because I know, and I feel like I used to say this a lot because it's them from San Bernardino, but nowadays I just think it's maybe just my own personal human experience. But it's all duality, bro. It's all good and bad all the time, and I can't turn on any screen, I can't talk to anybody that doesn't make me feel happy and sad at the same time. Yeah. And that's just the nature, especially like shit post COVID and shit like that. Like we all going through something. So it's like for me, I was already treating people like when Big Sean was like treat everybody like they're going through something. Like I work in education. I work with people on the autistic spectrum. I work with people with learning disabilities, physical disabilities. And what I've learned in that space is knowing that people process information differently. People process the life around them differently. I've seen so many walks of life when I was a psychology major and sociology major, and learning the way people process child development, learning the way people process and who you are in the first 10 years and stuff like that. A lot of the stuff that we are and how we are is in no way, shape, or form our fault. Like you were just a sponge. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The first time somebody told you no, it's how you respond to no. Yeah. The first rejection you ever felt, the first heartbreak you ever felt. And I see myself still experiencing layers and levels of things that I saw in high school. Things that I saw in the city, you know what I'm saying? Because those are just miniature versions of the world that you're going to find yourself in after. But I just say that to say, like, it's all duality, and it's all a balance of just the light and the dark and the positive and the negative. And I feel like my first testament of that was understanding San Bernardino and my place in that, knowing that the same guy that I was playing basketball with the day before, and that's the homie and everybody love him, he get murked the next day, and now it's like, oh, but he was an enemy and da da da. And then the same guy who I was chilling with at the game and da da da, he the one who murked him, and it's like, damn, like I was just kicking it with him though too. So it's like, you know, how do I quantify how I feel about these people?
Yeah.
And I feel like we deal with that, the stuff that seeing like the cancel culture stuff and all that. We dealt with that those kind of layers of mentality early because some of your best friends are victims. Yeah. And some of your close family is killers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like how do you quantify being able to love somebody or understand them? You know what I'm saying? So that's my point of view from having family doing life and having and loving them, but knowing that somebody else hates them for what they did. Yeah. But I love them for everything else. Yeah. So it's like I try to put a lot of that into the music, and I apply that same shit to myself. I'm not perfect. I don't got it all figured out, but I actively try to work it out for y'all and for me.
Look, man, it's been beautiful. Actually, I feel like I've kind of unpacked a lot of. I understand your music better now, so I think I accomplished something here today for myself, at the very least. But I guess I want to encapsulate all this in one record. And
what record would that be for you?
Oh, man,
I'm always interested to hear what, because again, people's favorites for me are seasons.
I don't think you have a record that encapsulates all of you.
Oh, not yet.
I don't think you do. I don't know how you would do that. But I'm not going to say it's not possible because it can be.
That shit might be like 6 minutes or something.
I miss that era when songs were that long. Yeah. Because songs are getting shorter and shorter.
I know. I got close on, I think I made almost like a 5-minute song on 333. Yeah. That's on Reignited. And that one's just like another one of those songs that I try to put a little bit of everything, and just the elements of I'm just like stripping everything away, stripping away the emotion, strip away the environment, strip away the person and shit like that. Like, what am I giving? Like, are the bars there? Are the harmonies there? Are the metaphors there? Is the nuance there? Is it abstract enough? Like this, I think about that, and sometimes when I try to separate myself from all of that and play a record like the other joint, like Inner Demons, is something I like. I freestyle that, and that's pure to me when I listen to it.
Can we play that? Can we play two unreleased songs?
We can play Inner Demons.
I think I want to play that because that song's a good example of the layers. Yeah, and it's not just you wrote layers; it's literally structurally layers. Yeah. So we'll close out with that, and I will say this is providing me with the insight on if we're gonna make a record, just me and you on it. I know exactly what I would like to accomplish with it, which is beyond anything me or you make separately. Yeah, it'd be something we have to make together.
That's the point of collaboration.
Yeah, but let's do it.
Hey, all these songs, both these coming out soon.
Yeah.
It's just for the vibe, you know. I keep my bitch on high, I don't go outside. If it's time to slide, man, you might just die. Put my life online, walk the tightest rope. Got the tightest dope, the dopest smoke.
When you say lines like walks the tightest rope, all these lines hit different when I talk to you first. Yeah. You know, when I
hear that, me too, man. Like, or saying like, because that's another thing. I didn't write that, so when I'm saying it, I don't know what I don't know what I'm saying, but I know what I'm saying.
It's
I'm
subconscious.
Saying like, it's like it is. It's my subconscious speaking, saying like I walk the tightest rope, and that's what I mean. Like saying like my shit is like, and then kind of being boastful in that, you know, like I got the tightest dope, better than the dope you smoke. Like don't got a pack not lit. Yeah. Like I ain't passing this shit. You better smoke your own shit. Like or then the next part is saying like I can't compromise because it's been a bit. And I'm saying again, like it's been a bit, like you did a bitch.
Look,
like,
man, all I can say is nobody can hear this conversation we had and hear these records and not tie your subconscious into the music. Yeah, like Cam Gnarly is present in the records, and that sounds like duh. Of course, he made them, but no. That's not obvious, you know?
You gotta, again, like I said, like a Christopher Nolan film, you gotta know what the layers are to this product from this person. Exactly. Because it's not just as simple as...
You need to be a part of the whole, journey to understand what part of it you just stepped into.
Dope,
I'm glad your music has that.
I ain't passing this bitch. Better smoke your own shit. Hey, I can't compromise. Yeah, it's been a bit. I can't compromise. No, yeah, it's been a bit. What's the benefits? Yeah, I got plenty fits. I just wear what I want, cause bitch, I'm confident. I can't promise it won't take too long. Yeah, it's been a minute. When my mama asked me what would be my limit, I said too many visits, too many levels I could visit. Can't put a price on a ticket until my trip is finished. Yeah, I think we started dust inside my mind. I handle business shit. Building brick by brick like Franklin Saint. I drive my energy. Focus on the positive and the options in us. Mans don't worry about the crumbs when you the breadwinner. Chop it up with all my dogs till we in the kennel. You can't take me from my dogs. That's the incidental. I charge incidental charge on the credit cards. Yeah, I charge incidental shit. I chip bitch in bars. Yeah, I took incidental charge. I chip bitch star chart. I got all these vibes on a higher frequency. I survive all the grimy shit that these niggas tried on me. Dodging all these local energy hoes with no leniency. Staying low key on the G code and ain't no secrecy. I was raised differently.
You're doing something vocally you don't do often. You're saying things you don't say often.
Yeah.
I hope that you make sure that you package this right, because there's an opportunity here.
Maybe I'll tell you what my approach is to it too. Because for me, this is a little darker.
Oh, for sure.
And that's my approach to it. Like, I want people to hear this and understand the layers, like, within this conversation. But it is more about, like, I've given y'all the light a lot of times, and this is saying I'm saying shit a little bit more. I'm popping my shit a little bit more because it is that self-actualization. But the other side of it is just like, this is the tone of voice that I sound in when I'm stressed and when I'm bothered and when y'all get on my nerves and the stuff that you don't hear me say all the time. And I feel like a lot of the music you're gonna hear, I got this one joint that's not, I don't have on me, but actually I do. I'll play it for you after. But it's just like the style of it is really like, I know what y'all know me for, but that don't mean that the stuff that you don't hear me say I don't say. You just don't hear. I just don't give that to you. So for that song to be a freestyle, and for it to be like the approach of it, the title of it being Inner Demons, like, that's what that is. That song is the inner demons, the stuff that I say, that I keep inside for myself, and I'm giving them a look at it. Like, that's like Mickey Mouse in a fucking black trench coat, you know what I'm saying? Or it's like fucking, it's like Ghost Dog, you know what I'm saying, with Forrest Whitaker. Or it's like Donnie Darko, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the, if I could give anything away into the rollout of that song, of the stylistic of it, it's that. It's something that, you know, it's like that feeling the first time I watched Donnie Darko, when I was like, oh my god, like, this shit is hella dark, hella sad, but I'm enlightened. Like, I really feel like I learned something about myself and life from this thing, and that's what that's what I feel about this when I listen to it, especially me being me, and I hear that and I'm like, damn, that's a different voice. I'm saying shit that I don't usually say, and I got a couple other joints that are in that same voice, so a lot of that stuff that I don't say is starting to come to the surface in the stuff that, you know, just because I've gotten more comfortable or I've become more professional in my music, my approach, I'm starting to say shit that I usually just live. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the difference now. And the next music is like that same shit, like Inner Demons, like the other records to come with it. It's like I'm starting to say stuff that I usually would just experience, and not just talk about my experience from a particular point of view. Right. So,
look, man, you're one of the few people where I can't tell you where your path's gonna lead, and I feel like I'm pretty perceptive. But you're on a path that I have no idea what the hell's going on. like I really just have.
I'll take it.
I'm so grateful that like we sat down and I was at least able to dig in a little bit. But all this did was give me more questions to ask. So I will be.
I hope the people who listen to this too ask the questions, because I'm a complex person.
Absolutely.
Who tries to do something very simple, but even the approach is still complex. So like, I appreciate the questions.
We smell the complexity on you.
I appreciate that.
You can't hide it from anyone.
You know, tell my girl that I know I'm difficult. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I'm difficult, and hard to read, and I get that within myself, but I kind of take pride in that though too, because I'm not some one trick kind of person. Like I have different layers, and I'm not afraid to put that into the music, be that when I'm singing more, or be that when I'm rapping more, or I'm talking my shit more, because it's my shit to talk. Like I feel like when I do that, it shakes people, or I see the effect. And I get it and I expect it. Other times I'm really surprised, but that lets me know that I don't care as much about how I'm perceived. Like that doesn't really bother me, because I'm really just me. Cam Gnarly is still Cameron. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I mean, man, we have a lot in common out of the music,
Virgo gang,
and it's very funny to see our differences in the music, because I think that it's that makes it really special. So
I saw this tweet. They said all Virgos think they Beyonce, and I relate a little bit. So it's kind of funny. I feel like we all, just speaking in a Virgo standpoint, you know, or just a perfection standpoint, no matter what your zodiac sign is, but when you strive to have the quality, and the quantity, and all these elements that, you know, that whoever your greats are that you admire, I admire the greats. I learn from the greats. So when I take the time to do that, like, I know that there's going to be a payoff. I don't know what the end outcome is going to be for me, but I do definitely feel like I'm already walking and living in my legacy that I've started, and I'm blessed that I was able to do it so early.
I think you're lucky, because you walk a very ambiguous path, and for some reason people see it still.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. It's been
if you had no fans, I wouldn't be surprised, and the fact that you have fans makes perfect sense too.
You said if I had no fans, you wouldn't be surprised?
Because you're so abstract and also straightforward that it can be easy to misinterpret who you are.
I recognize that a lot of times. That's why I like when I get the opportunity, and I've been given a lot of opportunities to speak my mind. Like when people have conversations with me, that adds more elements of understanding and nuance to the music. But I get what you're saying is because I do feel like that. I don't necessarily look at it like luck, but I do know
it's not luck. It's not luck.
No, but it's preparation meets opportunity. It's also me like meeting. I said in other songs, it's like meeting the God halfway type shit. Like, you know, I can only do so much, and then the rest of it, it just happens.
You know, everyone says like you can't just manifest. You do have to grind also.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't just speak it into existence.
You gotta meet your. I read what I said in the song. Like I read somewhere, you gotta meet your dreams halfway. You gotta get to know your whole self, and that's the way I feel about my approach to music, and I do feel blessed in that. I feel blessed to have the community that I'm a part of. I feel blessed that I've gotten this far off really just being my honest self. I've never picked up no shit that people have tried to put on me. Niggas have tried to tell me to dye my hair. Niggas have tried to tell me to, you know, like, not say I wouldn't, like, pierce my face or whatever. Like, you know, like, these kind of things. And it's like, I'm not that kind of person. I'm the kind of person when I see a lot of people going left, I go right. You know, that's just the kind of guy I am. So it's like, I've trusted myself this far and risked, you know, I rolled the dice a couple times and risked it, walked a thin line, and, you know, I'm so grateful that my music and my career has brought me to this point where I do have fans, because I do remember when I first started and I didn't have that, and I was still not giving a fuck, like not caring about my 15 plays, you know what I'm saying, or even now, like not caring about 150,000, like I don't care about that, only because it's temporary, it's fickle, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make or break who I am, and if I put my stake in that, I'm empty, you know what I'm saying? So for me, it is like what you said, like it is, I feel like I lived definitely a charmed life, and I'm still in that, and I'm so grateful for the path.
I don't think it's charm though. I do think that there's a method to the madness. I think that all of your brilliant moments come from a lot of groundwork that you do subconsciously. I think that you're the type of person you see someone who's successful and you subconsciously go, who's around them? Who else do they speak to? Who else do they know? Who's in their circle? Subconsciously, you know? You do a lot of...
I learn from I'm definitely a very observant person.
Absolutely.
I told many people, like, I learned from observation. I don't even gotta... Sometimes I want to talk to people, but I don't. But there's other times that I don't need to talk to him.
Yeah.
I could just look enough, and that's what's so great about it too. That when I first started out, I remember when I found Twitter. I was already a rapper for like 4 or 5 years before Twitter even existed. Yeah. So when I found it and I was able to express myself and also see what other people did with their businesses, I can say for a fact, like, I learned from observation from like Noah and Lisa, and now those are my business partners. Yeah. I've learned from my observation from like Adam goes ham on everything and stuff like that, and how I would approach the Los Angeles music scene. I learned from the people I feature with, like, because I like to be around people, like, it sounds cliche sometimes, but I like to be the nigga who don't know nothing. So I can learn from people who do. And I'm in that way, so that I don't just respect the people on Front Street. I respect everybody behind it, because I know that it takes a real community to make anything pop. Exactly. And Cam Gnarly wouldn't be popping if the community didn't support me and put me where I'm at. And I know a lot of that does come from the work that I put in. Yeah. But the other side of that shit is, like, again, like you said, like, I could put in all the work, because I know a lot of us who put in all the work and it just don't work. Yeah. It just don't work, and the people don't show up, and the people don't support, and all that. And I'm grateful that I have that, but I also know that I was doing it when nobody gave a fuck anyways. Absolutely. So I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm grateful that people are here. But if somebody heard that shit and didn't hear this conversation and was like, what is this? Are he talking shit? Or what is this demon talk? Like, I'm cool with that, bro. Like, because
it's part of the process.
Yeah, exactly. Man. Like, it's all interpretation. Yeah. And as long as you're interpreting it, good or bad, it's all good. Like Maya Angelou said, like, don't pick it up, don't put it down.
Look, man, it's been an absolute pleasure. This was well overdue.
Yeah. Better now than then, honestly. Yeah, and niggas done glowed up so much since Nirvana. Shout out everybody who listens to Nirvana, 333AZ, Love Really Is, The Positive Prevails, GoPro, the Krilly album, Cammy's World on SoundCloud, on YouTube. We have to talk about next time we sit down, and Noah, all of that, and we got.
Look, next time we sit down, I want to talk to you. I'm gonna manifest it now, so I don't forget. We're going to talk about your ability to package visuals to the music.
Yeah, that's something.
That's
we
huge.
can talk about that.
That's huge.
That's shout out everybody watching my videos, or the people who tell me like, yo, your videos are this or this quality.
They're special.
Right, thank you.
We do have to talk about who you work with specifically, because there's almost like a consistent sonic to what you do that there's some common denominators project to project, and I don't know what they are.
I mean, I can tell you some, but I can also tell you that some of that's going to be changing pretty soon too. So
okay, well, we'll discuss it, because I'd love to even talk about how it changed too.
Yeah, and I can tell you when the transition definitely came, but I mean, to give it credit these days, like, if I just looking back, like, a lot of my music wouldn't sound the way it was if it wasn't for guys like Oh Gosh or A Brook. Like, those are the people that I've trusted to mix and master my music in the times that I really wanted that. And Oh Gosh mixed and mastered The Positive Prevails, and that was so impactful. And I'm forever grateful to him for that. But he knows that, like, that's my dog, and we came up before we was anything together. So that's why we had that relationship. Same thing with A Brook. Like, I met A Brook in passing early, and then he did his own thing with Noah, and then we found, linked up through mutual friends and had a really good relationship, good run of music for about 4 or 5 years, of him being my go-to main engineer, and him putting himself into my music and Noah's music in that time period. Like, we really made a home for Noah and myself in our recordings and doing stuff with Brooke too. So, but also outside of that, I've been able to learn from people sonically. Like, shout out to like what I would learn from like my time at like with Beat Cinema, and spending a lot of time with like a lot of electronic producers and engineers and picking up that sound. My time at Alpha Pup, them being my only main distributor outside of myself. So like working with like Daddy Kev and him putting his ear to stuff, and the time that I was spending like Low End Theory and all that stuff. Like, that's what I mean. Like, I'm blessed to also have these relationships where I've learned so much from people who are very, very seasoned and respected, and that shit is only getting more thorough. I promise you. Y'all gonna see.
But all right, man. Cam Gnarly, season 2.
Tap in, support the brand, man. The brand is strong. Stay positive. Focus on your healing. Be emotionally intelligent. Buy my shit. Hey, CamGnarly.com. CamGnarly. Buy my shit. Support the brand, because You know, like I put my heart and my spirit into this stuff.
If they got this far, they know that.
Yeah, so
for sure. So
buy a hoodie, buy a shirt, or buy a ticket to a show. We got shows coming up. New music dropping very soon. Check for me in late July or late June, late July. And yeah, I'll be back outside soon. But until then, Love Really Is out now. Nirvana out now. 3338Z out now.
Hey.
peace.
Damn. Shit. Hey.
It's just for the vibes, you know.
I keep my fish on high. I don't go outside.